She's a cold-hearted snake. Look into her eyes. Uh-oh, I think she's been telling lies. Hello everyone, this is Gene from NYC again, and I'm back with another video. So first of all, as always, I'd like to thank everyone who has watched my videos, who have left comments, who have left likes, who have subscribed. I hope that you continue to enjoy the content, whether this is your first video or whether it's your 100th video. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to hear me speak my mind. So today's video is going to be about the Vic Mignogna situation. In particular, the hotel room account from one Monica Rial. So just to briefly summarize, I covered it in another video that I did where I explained why I don't believe Monica, but I believe Vic. But just to briefly summarize, among the many accusations that Monica Rial has levied against Vic Mignogna, the biggest one is that she alleges that Vic sexually assaulted her in a hotel room at a con back in 2007, I believe it is. Her account, and I'm summarizing here, her account is basically that she, Vic, and a man named Stan Dhalin were going to go to an after-dinner event. That they were going to go to an after convention dinner. So she alleges that Vic told Stan that he and Monica were going to be in his room watching a fan film. So she goes to his room. They start watching the fan film. Monica alleges that Vic then forced himself on her. In particular, she alleges that Vic grabbed her by the arms, that he started kissing her, and that he tried to lay her down on the bed. And she alleges that the reason why she did not actively resist him was because at that moment, or at least this is the impression that I get when she explains the story. She mentions that she allegedly had been raped at 15 years old, and that she had learned from that experience that fighting back doesn't help, actually makes the situation worse. So she says that, or at least the way she presents the story, is that she was flashing back to her rape at 15, and that's why she did not actively resist Vic when he allegedly did this, and didn't fight him off, right? Didn't try to stop him or anything. She alleges that the only thing that stopped this alleged sexual assault from going any further was the appearance of one Stan Dhalin, who, from what Monica alleges, he knocked on the door. Vic went to open the door, and then as Vic, is speaking to Stan, she's hiding her face and trying to make herself look presentable. This is the summary of her account, as I understand it. So, Stan Dhalin was deposed. He was recently deposed, or at least we're finally finding out. And he has submitted an affidavit. Excuse me. And in the affidavit, he claims to not recall the events that Monica is talking about. And he also states in the affidavit that had he seen Monica in a state of distress, he would remember it. So let's actually look at the affidavit itself. I had to take a screen cap from Recollection Law's video on it because I couldn't find the document online, so I hope Mr. Recollection doesn't mind. But let's take a look and see what exactly this says, because I don't want to put words in people's mouths. So the affidavit reads, one moment, give me a sec, I gotta make it larger so I can see it. One moment. Just trying to make it a little bit larger so my poor eyes can read this. Okay, so it says, Here's the beginning, right? My name is Stanley Charles Dhalin Jr., and it mentions where he resides, and I reside in DeKalb County, Georgia. I am over the age of 18 and competent to make this affidavit. I have personal knowledge of the facts stated in this affidavit, and these facts are true and correct. So he's asserting that whatever he's saying here is the truth. And keep in mind, this is a legal document, right? If he lies, he's going to be in big trouble, right? This is a legal document. So that's the first one. Second point. And he says here in the affidavit, point 2, I have read Monica Rial's response to interrogatory. I'm sorry, I struggled with that word. Number 4, contained in Monica Rial's amended objections and responses to plaintiff's first interrogatories. Sorry. And request for production in cause number 14130747419 in the 141st District Court of Tarrant County, Texas. The response. This response is attached to my affidavit as Exhibit A. Number 3. I was the owner of IzumiCon in Oklahoma City in November 2007. Monica Rial and Victor Mignogna were both guests at that convention. Here's the three most important ones. 5, 6, and 7. I have no memory of the events described in bullet point 4 of the response. If I had noticed Monica Rial being distressed leaving Victor Mignogna's room, I am certain that I would remember it. In subsequent years, I invited Monica Rial and Victor Mignogna back to my convention several times. I would never have done this if I had been informed of any problems between Monica Rial and Victor Mignogna. So, 5, 6, and 7, as we can see here with the screen cap of the affidavit, right, show that Mr. Dhalin does not recall this event. This is really going to put Monica's case. It really calls everything she's been saying into question. Not that I haven't been questioning everything she's been saying, but it especially calls everything into question because, right, he was the linchpin. Mr. Dhalin was the linchpin in all this. He was the only person, right, outside of Monica and, not Stan, outside of Monica and Vic, who actually knew what was going on. And on top of all that, remember, Monica mentioned him. I haven't seen all of Vic's deposition, but I've seen several hours of it, and I cannot recall a time when he mentioned Stan Dhalin. Monica, whose deposition I've seen all of, and all of Nick's commentary on top of it, she's the only person, to my knowledge, during their deposition, mentions Stan Dhalin in this particular event. Right? She credits him in her recounting of this alleged hotel incident as the man who basically saved her, right? If it was not for his appearance at the proper time, she alleges, right, that Vic would have presumably continued, to make out with her. So, if Mr. Stalin does not recall this event, this really calls everything that Monica has been saying into question, because if you lie, right, or at least if you will be untruthful, I will admit that I do believe it is of my opinion that Monica is not being truthful about anything that she says. And I believe that she is weaponizing past encounters of various types that she and Vic had over the years, because they had been longtime friends. They had known each other for over a decade, I believe. So, if she will be dishonest and untruthful, presumably speaking, about this event, which is, again, the biggest allegation that she's made against Vic, is that he allegedly tried to sexually assault her. if she will be, again, untruthful about this, if the one man who can corroborate her story does not corroborate her story, in fact, he says, I don't recount this at all. I don't remember this event. And if I had seen Monica in distress, I certainly would have done something. But if he says that, then how do you trust anything Monica says? If I were Monica's attorneys, or one of her attorneys, I would be absolutely livid, because they didn't have much of a case, in my opinion, in the first place, which is why I think they tried to basically bully Vic online, because you don't need proof in the court of public opinion, especially the rabbit kangaroo court that is Twitter. But when you take things to an actual real court, you actually need to be able to prove what you say. And again, since Monica mentioned him and now he's saying, I don't recount any of this, it looks really, really, really bad for her. Now, if you're wondering why I believe that Mr. Dhalin is telling the truth, well, let me refer to his Twitter, right? Here's a few posts from his Twitter account. I'm reading directly from it. July 4th. Again, this is Mr. Stan Dhalin's Twitter account. July 4th. Why was I named in a legal document? Another one. 1 second. July 10th. If his, I'm assuming that he means Vic here, if his behavior was so horrible for decades as you say, why are you not spreading your ire with all the conventions that hosted him at their show? Right? July 12th, and this is an important one for me. Mr. Dhalin says, 20 years of experience being an anime convention organizer and guest relations director. When I was with Anime Weekend Atlanta, we had a blacklist for guests we would never invite to the show. Short list that you could count on one hand. He clarifies in a tweet on July 13th, I should clarify a statement I made. I had a blacklist. Since I was the guest relations director for AWA at the time, it was my job to determine who to invite to our show. Those who were on the list, 3 males, were from anime and 1 female was from the comics industry. So then he says here, what's the next one? Let's see here. And then he says that the cat is out of the bag. That's the most recent one, which is probably no doubt referring to the affidavit. So from these tweets that I read, and there are others, I just chose those, but you can look at his Twitter and see what tweets he has made in regards to this situation that he suddenly found himself pulled into thanks to Monica mentioning him. You can see that he seems to be sincerely surprised that he was mentioned, and most importantly, and the reason why I read those tweets is because he mentions that he maintained a blacklist of people who were banned from a convention he was working at, as the tweet stated, right? So it makes sense, right? Logic dictates that you can presume that if he knew, if this event happened and he was notified by Monica or by somebody else, right? Or if he saw something that looked odd and then, further investigated, that he would have banned Vic, right? Because this would certainly be a bannable offense if it allegedly happened. And he states that he maintained a blacklist of only 4 people, for at least for that con. So I would imagine that what you would have to do would be pretty egregious to end up on the blacklist. But a blacklist nonetheless, and he maintained it. This was a practice of his, I'm assuming. So, again, if this happened, why didn't Monica, right, tell Stan the next day, right? Because she says, well, we were going to go out, right? So one could presume that, okay, to keep up appearances immediately afterward, maybe she goes along with it. But again, if this indeed happened And if Monica was indeed as traumatized as she said she was, why not go back the next day, or why not follow up a few days later in an email or something and tell Mr. Stalin, sorry, not Stalin, I apologize, not Stalin, definitely not Stalin. Why not tell Mr. Dhalin what happened, what Vic did? No doubt the allegation alone, being as serious as it is, would have caused Mr. Dhalin to put Vic on a blacklist, at least until more information could be found out. Yet, as Mr. Dhalin stated himself in his affidavit, which he is swearing is the truth, that he invited Monica and Vic back several times, and that he would not have done that if he had been informed that there were any issues between them. So again, when you look at all this stuff objectively, it really casts Monica's credibility in a bad light. How do you trust anything she says when the one person she claims was her rescuer in this alleged sexual assault claims that he doesn't, effectively claims, I should say, because he doesn't exactly state it, but effectively claims by, again, a preponderance of the evidence. What he's effectively saying is, I don't know what she's talking about, because if I had witnessed that, I would have done something. I would remember it. Presumably, he would have banned Vic if he even had a hint of something like that happening, I'm assuming. Not to put words in the man's mouth, but again, looking at the preponderance of the evidence in relation to him, it stands to reason that if he had any reason to believe that Vic had done something this heinous, that he would have banned Vic for it. And he has no reason to lie. So again, I wonder what Monica's attorney is going to do, aside from freak out, because he may not show it on video or on social media, but I have no doubt that when this came out that he was livid. Because again, how do you win a case? If this goes to trial, I'm not sure if it will, but if this goes to trial, let's assume it goes to trial, because it's already on trial in sort, right? It's taking place in public, so it's already being it's already what I'm looking for. It's already playing out in the court of public opinion. But let's say this actually goes to a actual courtroom, right? We have to get a jury and all this stuff. Imagine the jury, right, hearing Monica tell this story, and then Ty Beard and his team bringing up the affidavit, or if they call Mr. Dhalin to the stand to testify to what he knows, which effectively, given his own words, is nothing. At least when it comes to Monica's account. He knows nothing. He does not recall the event. That's what he stated in the affidavit. So, again, I do believe that Monica has put herself in the creek without a paddle. And there's just one more thing I want to say. And this is more directed to her fiance, Ron Toy, than anyone else. Ron, if you ever come across this video, heed a little bit of advice from a woman. I highly doubt that Monica loves you. I highly doubt she cares about you. She may like you. She may keep you around. Maybe she likes the fact that you will jump at any criticism levied against her, even when the criticism is perfectly valid. But I highly, highly, highly doubt, Ron, that she loves you. And you need to keep this in mind, because I don't see you and Monica being together after all this. The stress, the money, the ugly details, right? The skeletons in the closet that are coming out. Her biggest claim being, at least at the moment, thoroughly debunked, I would say. Yeah. I think you two at some point, if not during this event, then certainly after, will break up. And the moment you break up, Ron, the moment you two are no longer an item, in my opinion, that is the moment you become a target, Ron. That is the moment Monica sets her sights on you. Because if there's one thing that is fairly consistent, is that Monica, from best I can tell, listening to her own accounts, right, has taken normal, regular, human interactions and weaponized them. And is now claiming them, regardless of what they are, as sexual harassment. So, Ron, if you've ever touched Monica without her express consent, if you've ever kissed her awake in the morning, if you've ever given her a good night kiss right before she goes to sleep, if you've ever tried to kiss her in an attempt to get her in the mood, if you've ever come up from behind and given her a hug and a kiss on the cheek, any and all explicitly non-consented contact, anything that she said, or rather didn't say, right? Any contact you initiated that she did not expressly say, yes, please, she, I believe, is likely to use against you. If she's willing to do this to someone she still calls a friend, despite all this, if Monica is willing to do this to drag a man's name not just through the mud, but to effectively ruin his career, and she still calls this man a friend, she still asserts that all Vic has to do is get counseling and admit he was wrong, even though Vic is in counseling and has admitted that he was careless in giving people hugs when they may not have wanted one without him knowing it, right? So he has admitted to some wrongdoing, and he has admitted to being in counseling. And yet she's willing to do this to him. What do you think, Ron, she'd be willing to do to you, her fiancé, someone she knows in a much deeper and much more intimate sense, someone she probably has a lot more dirt on? What do you think she'd be willing to do to you if she will do this to a friend, to a beloved colleague, whom she claims that she let all these things go, let it all slide for over a decade until she heard a story from a pair of twins, and that was what spurred her on. That was when she said, enough is enough. I'm drawing the line in the sand, and I'm going to report Vic for every interaction we had in the 12-year period. You can't trust her, Ron. This is my first and last warning to you. If you care anything about your own life, about your own name, about your own reputation, about your own future, leave her and start protecting yourself. Leave her and start fighting for yourself. Because here's the thing. When Monica comes after you, and I believe she will, all of her voice actor friends, like Jamie Markey, they'll back her. They'll back her because backing her is backing themselves. But who will back you? Who will defend you? Who will defend your good name? Who will raise money to help you fight back? I don't think anybody will. I don't think you have any friends in this situation. You're alone. You don't realize it yet, but you, my friend, are alone. And when you finally realize it, it'll be too late. So if you happen to come across this video, listen. For once in your life, don't let Monica put words and thoughts in your mouth and in your head. Listen. Listen to what I'm saying. Listen to the warning bells that are going off in your head, whether or not you admit it. You know it's true. Listen to them. Protect yourself. Fight for yourself. Because your beloved fiancé is going to turn around and she's going to hurt you. Right? She's a cold-hearted snake, Ron. Look in her eyes. She's been telling lies. And the next person she'll be telling lies about is you. Anyway, that's the video. And I hope that you enjoyed it. And please, that's advice that I give to everybody, not just to Ron, right? If you see that your significant other, or any other person, a friend, a family member, is starting to display Monica Rial-esque signs, watch out, because they're going to come and get you. They're going to hurt you. So, that's it. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I will see you in the next vid. Bye.